5 aquarium tricks nobody told you about. From aquariums that don't really need to be cycled to the best aquarium plants to buy. These are helpful and unique tricks that I didn't even know for many years. Let's see how experienced you are and if I can actually surprise you with some of these. To start this list, I want to talk about something that you might think is impossible, but I'll show you how to do it. And that is how to add fish to an aquarium before it's cycled. A big no-no in most cases, but there's a trick. In a planted aquarium with plenty of healthy plants, you can actually pull it off without harming your fish. Plants aren't just for looks, they are natural filters. They absorb ammonia and nitrite, the stuff that makes cycling so critical, before it reaches harmful levels. The key here is dense planting right from the start. When setting up your tank, aim to fill at least 30% of your plant selection with fast-growing types, and I mean stem plants like Rotalas or floating plants like Reishi. These work overtime, soaking up those nasty toxins. The more plants, the better, because they create a safety net for your fish. It is not a free pass to skip water tests though. Keep an eye on your parameters. This method isn't just practical, but it also makes your aquarium look lush and alive from day one. So, should you do this? No, you shouldn't. Honestly, if you wait 3 weeks before adding any fish, you can build any kind of aquarium you want without any restrictions. But if you do want to add fish from day one, then that's how to do it. Alright, the second trick I want to share with you guys, it's how to raise KH, carbonate hardness, without increasing GH and without using any commercial aquarium products. If you've ever struggled with low KH but don't want to mess with your GH or spend money on commercial products, here's a simple trick. Use baking soda. It's cheap, effective, and doesn't touch your GH. Just a pinch, about 1/4 teaspoon per 10 gallons of water, can raise the KH by roughly 1 degree. Don't add it directly to your tank. Start by mixing it into a water container outside the aquarium. This gives you time to test and figure out the exact amount you'll need without shocking your fish. Slowly add the adjust water to your tank and monitor the parameters closely. One bonus of this method is that you avoid the downsides of commercial aquarium buffers. Many of those products use phosphate compounds, which can trigger algae outbreaks. And that's a nightmare nobody wants. By sticking to baking soda, you're keeping it clean and simple, while giving your tank the stability it needs. Whether you are fine-tuning water for a specific fish species or just trying to prevent pH crashes, this one trick you'll be glad you know. And guys, if you find the information in this video to be valuable, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps the channel grow and it helps me to be able to continue making videos like this on a weekly basis. For this next one, I want to go over the 3 growth methods that I used for the aquarium plants that you buy, so that you know which one is the best one and why. Even though you probably know what these methods are, there are a few things here that I'm sure most people don't know. The 3 main growth methods are submerged, immersed, and tissue culture. Submerged plants are already adapted to underwater growth, so they transition easily to your tank, but they have a few downsides. They are more prone to damage during shipping if the proper care is not taken, and can bring in unwelcome guests like pest snails or algae. On the other hand, immersed plants grown above water are tougher for shipping and less likely to carry algae or snails. The problem is that they'll need time to get rid of their immersed leaves and adapt to submerged growth. This process can take a while, and some plants might not make it. Now, let's talk about the best choice currently out there: tissue culture plants. Yes, they are pricier, but they are also worth it. No snails, no algae, just healthy, lab-grown plants. And here's what I like the most: the gel they are grown in mimics underwater conditions, even though the plants are technically immersed. Think of it as a hybrid method that makes these plants extremely tough. They adapt quickly to your tank, thriving in your water parameters with minimal issues. Tissue culture is hands down the best option if you want a pest-free, smooth start. Let's move on to number 4. You don't need the Siesta method. First of all, what's the Siesta method? The Siesta method is where you break up your light cycle with a midday break to reduce algae growth. For example, let's say you have an 8-hour lighting cycle with a 2-hour break in the middle. So lights will turn on at 12 p.m. They'll then turn off at 4 p.m., then on again at 6 p.m. and off at 10 p.m. The idea is that this break reduces algae problems. However, in my own experience, the Siesta method isn't necessary. Plants generally prefer a consistent lighting period. A steady, uninterrupted light cycle helps them grow strong and healthy. In fact, algae growth is often a sign of other issues, like poor water quality, excess nutrients, or not enough plant mass, which can lead to unhealthy plants and algae blooms. Instead of focusing on breaking up your light cycle, it's better to address the root cause. I run all my planted tanks for 8 hours straight, and I've found that this works just fine for healthy growth and minimal algae. So rather than stressing about a siesta, try focusing on plant health and maintenance. It's the real key to an algae-free aquarium. The last trick I want to go over is how to know if your CO2 levels are good without using a drop checker. Drop checkers can be a pain to set up properly, and if they are not positioned right or the flow is obstructed, they can give you inaccurate readings. If you're tired of dealing with the hassle of a drop checker, here's a simpler way to know if your CO2 levels are on point. Try this: test your pH before your CO2 system turns on. Then test again about 5 hours later. If your pH drops by about 1 point, your CO2 levels are perfect. If it's less than 1 point, you need more CO2. If it's more than 1 point, you've got too much. There's a lot of wiggle room here, but you can always find specific charts online to fine-tune this method. Another sign to look out for is your stem plants. If they are growing tall and skinny, even with strong lighting, your CO2 is likely low. Plants do this to reach the surface for more CO2. And finally, if you see your fish gasping for air at the surface, it's a clear sign that you've got way too much CO2 in the tank, and you'll need to do a quick water change. So that was it for today, guys. Once again, if you enjoyed the video, remember to like and subscribe, and leave a comment below. I would love to read it.